Welcome to another episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, I am your host, Carter C. Today we are continuing the themes in TTOTC. And today's theme is listen. Now, I was really surprised when I was doing my research for this episode because I remember thinking, when Forrest says I listen or I don't have to listen or whatever, I remember as I read through the book the first time and all subsequent times that, okay, I'm going to write that down and I'm going to, come back to that at some point and try to figure out, do a little study on it. And I really thought there was a lot that was going to, maybe that was something, like that you just needed to pay attention to the subtle hints or clues. Because the last one, and so the reason why I say I'm surprised is because there's in my research there's only 4 or 5 mentions of listen. And that might be significant because there's only a couple of hints. However, I'll let you decide. So, without further ado, page 7, first mention of listen. And he's been talking about Eric Sloan, he's been talking about all this stuff, and then he says, but being almost 80 gives me, I'm reading out of the 11th edition. If you've been watching this, I know you're tired of hearing me say it, but if you're new to my videos, I have the 11th edition, the 11th printing of The Thrill of the Chase. And so I'm on page 7, big last paragraph. But being almost 80 gives me a lot of time to think about regrets and other things. Who would you rather have working on your car? A man who just graduated from 4 years of mechanic school, or a guy who has been working on broken cars for 4 years? My father said that to me one day with no one else around. Can you believe that? He was just standing there by the car, doing something important, and he said it to me out of the blue. He was really smart that way. We both knew I wasn't going to college, me because I didn't think I could make it, and him because he didn't think I could make it. I always listened closely when he talked and told me things. Now, when I first read that, and every time I start the book over, I think, okay, that's a subtle hint that listen to what his dad says throughout the book. So that's going to be another video of looking at the father and any father figure really and what they say throughout the book to see if there might be any subtle hints in father speak, not Finn speak. All right, next one. Page 9 goes over into page 10, but the sentence starts page 9. At the very bottom, I already knew that no salesperson has ever been accused of understatement, so there was no reason for me to listen to her, but I did anyway. So he listens to her. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe you should listen to the ladies in the book. So we'll be looking at maybe what some ladies say. Because this lady, and then the next sentence, that little lady probably knew where every book was in that whole store. And when we arrived at the exact spot, she pulled down 2 books and just handed them to me and walked away, tossing her thick braids back and forth like they had purpose. I don't know. Purpose, something important. So many themes, so many aberrations, so much fun. God, do y'all get excited about this stuff? I get excited about this stuff. There's so many puzzles. It's like, I was thinking somebody during the marathon or after party or something had said, if the Forrest Fenn treasure was like $1,000 or $10,000, would so many people be involved in it or care so much, or is it just because of the amount of the treasure? And I think the amount of the treasure definitely has a lot to do with it for most people. But I think what I really enjoy about this chase, about this treasure hunt, whatever you want to call it, is trying to figure out the stories, trying to figure out Forrest Fenn. He's a maverick, so I know he's just messing with everybody. As Davio said on the panel, it's just a big game, and that's what makes it fun for me. I got Fandango when I was up in Boston, and people have talked about Masquerade and stuff, and they're trying to figure out the puzzles, and you're drawing lines from right eyes to keys through the letters and anagrams and that stuff. Like, that's not me. I don't. When Forrest Fenn's treasure is found, I'll make, probably one last video about my shock and my admiration for that person. And then 3 days a week, the House Husband Diaries are going to have to find something else to do videos on. Because I don't think there's going to be another treasure hunt that I'm going to be interested in, or another book or thing that I'm going to sit there and look at symbology and stuff. I think that stuff's fascinating to watch. History Channel, shows on like the Knights Templar and all that, like just the historical stuff and how they use symbols but I have no desire to code break that stuff to try to figure out any of that. And just not me. So that's what I think is so fun about all of this. Total aside to listen, but going to where I paused in my last video, because I was doing research for this video as well. Page 26, Jumpstarting the Learning Curve. That second paragraph, first sentence. I prayed for D's in all of my classes, but no one ever listened. So he makes you think that he got F's and everything because he prayed for D's and nobody ever listened. But apparently he made better grades than that. So I decided to just do things my own way and to heck with what people thought. I think that's what he's done. That's what the chase is. It's his own way, his own treasure hunt. If they weren't paying my bills, I didn't have to listen to them unless they were saying something I wanted to hear, of course. My father was paying my bills, so I had to listen to him. Second mention, listening to father. Now, most people would say, well, that's just kind of normal because you listen to your father anyway. But we're 26 pages into a 147-page book, so we're roughly 1/6 of the way through the book, and he's mentioned listen to my father twice, so I had to listen to him, always listen to him. He said important things, so I'm interested to see what else Dad says throughout. When I isolate those instances, is anything going to appear? So he mentions listen several times in that paragraph. And then what's fascinating to me and what really surprised me about this and why the video is going to be, so short, is that from page 26 to the end of the book, listen is only written one other time, and it's in the poem. So hear me all and listen good. And then I'll just read the rest of that. Just everybody knows it by heart, but since I read everything else out of there, I'll turn to the page and I'll read this. At the bottom of page 132, last stanza. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. Period. So hear me all and listen good. All right, I'm listening. I'm hearing you. That's it. Period. We always move to the next sentence. If you were brave and in the wood, I give you tight up so the gold. But he puts a period there.